Deafrowe with Deafrowe TV, and I'm back again with another review. And today I'm reviewing one of my favorite shows called Neverwhere, and this is episode 2 called Knightsbridge. And before I get started on this review, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell so you can see the next episodes that I do 3, 4, 5, and 6 that are going to be coming up soon. So let's get started on episode 2 called Knightsbridge. As you can see here at the very beginning of the show, we have Mayhew, who is basically doing like a recap of the first episode and where he is at this moment. And where he is at this moment is with the Lord Rat Speaker with a knife being held to his throat, as you can see here. And then you wonder why is he called Lord Rat Speaker? If he's Lord Rat Speaker, does that make the rats king? And that's kind of the concept that they're going with these people here at the very beginning of his entrance into London Below. And so the rat comes out and is speaking to Lord Rat Speaker, and the rat's like, "Hey, this guy kind of looks familiar." And Mayhew tells him, "Like, well, I did throw the remote at a rat that was helping us out earlier." And so the rat recognizes him and recognizes that he actually apologized for that. And the rat tells him, "Hey, get him an escort to take him to the floating market because he's looking for Door. Because apparently the rat is a friend of Door's, and I guess he feels compelled to help Mayhew on his journey. And so Mayhew gets set up with one of the rat speakers, the low-ranking rat speaker, which they call her Expendable, which is kind of odd. And her name is Anesthesia, of all things. And so they set him up with her to take him down to London Below to get to the floating market. And then we cut to Mr. Croup and Mr. Vandemar, who are just like hanging out in their little office area. And they get a call from their employer, the one that sent them after Door in the first place. And the employer is not happy with what they were trying to do. The employer is accusing them of trying to kill Door when the employer wants Door alive, and so now they have to kind of change their tactics a little bit because now they can't just kill him off like they originally wanted to. They've already killed off the rest of the family of Door's family, and they cannot kill Door. She's the last one of the family. For that reason, she can be killed because the person who is employing them needs Door for a certain reason. And so they find out that Door is going to the floating market to hire a bodyguard. And so Mr. Croup and Mr. Vandemar come up with a plan to hire their own bodyguard and send that bodyguard to win the competition or the tryouts. So they could basically employ a bodyguard to be the bodyguard of Door and get the upper hand, is what the whole thing is about. And we cut back to the Marquis de Carabas and Door, and they've made it back to Door's residence, I guess you could say. And Dora really doesn't want to go inside because last time she was in there, it was blood, guts. They were all dead, and she had to put up with all that trauma again. And the Marquis de Carabas is like, "Look, either you do this, you can't. If you can't, I'll be on my way." Like he's very blunt. He's very uh, straightforward with her. It's like we gotta move fast. If you don't move fast, I don't care. You gotta put your feelings aside and move fast. Basically, is what he's trying to get her to do. And so they move through to the inside to get inside because she has to. Dora is the only one that could get in there the way that they get in there, and they make it to the inside, and it's of course, it gives Marquis de Carabas a headache, and Dora explains, like, well, yes, because the doorway is imprinted with all the memories of what happened inside this area, and so they all hit Marquis to, like it hits his head really hard, and he has all these memories just floating through his head and giving him a headache. Then he looks up and sees that, holy crap, this is he calls it an associative house. And if I'm catching the phrase right, what he means by that is all these pictures are essentially in the foyer of a house. And the only way to get to these other areas of the house is to go through where these pictures are. These pictures act as a doorway, which is why he calls it an associative house. Each picture is a different part, or or lies in a different area somewhere in the under uh, London below. So, and which is why she can't understand why her family was killed. They should have been safe in their own house like this, especially when it's hard to find them when you're in an associative house and you could just, you know, go from one picture to the next and be in somewhere completely different. And the Marquis is like trying to console her over the whole ordeal with her family being dead and asking her like, well, how did you escape this whole ordeal? And she said, basically, the only reason I didn't die along with my family is because I was off exploring, doing my own thing in the London below. I was the uh, explorer of the family. I didn't want to be tied down to just doing what my father did and what my family wanted me to do. I wanted to go explore the London below, and that's what she was doing. She just happened to not be there, and she happened to be out exploring when her family was killed off. Anyway, we cut back to Mayhew, who's traveling with Anesthesia here, who's played by Amy Marston. And you see here, and as you can see, this character coming down the hallway here. I'll see if I can catch a good glimpse of her. Yeah, this is Tamsin Krieg, which is playing a character named Lamia, and she's got like this brood of three women behind her. And Mayhew is asking Anesthesia, "Are they dangerous?" This is everything's dangerous down here. Just don't take anything for granted. And so they go along their path. They have to go back up to the London above for a second and cross a bridge. This is not the Knightsbridge, by the way. This is just a random bridge. I mean, a bridge that they have to cross to get to another area. And they come across a dude that's standing on the bridge that's fixing to commit suicide, and Mayhew saves him. But Mayhew can't understand, like, the guy doesn't even recognize that he's there. He just thinks he's an asshole and just goes on his way. And Mayhew's like, how can he not see that I just saved him? He's like, they don't even know you're standing around. That's what London Below does to you. And that's what Anesthesia tries to explain to Mayhew is you're either part of London Below or London Above. You can't go from one to the other and be recognized by one or the other. You can only be recognized by one. There's very few people that can recognize both. Mayhew being one of them because he can, obviously something was able to make him transition from one to the other without actually going down on his luck or anything like that. Whereas Anesthesia talks about the reason she's a rat speaker is because she was homeless for so long that she just became part of the London Below. Of course, we cut back to Dor and the Marquis de Carabas, and they're in the study. The picture that they went through is the study of her dad's office, and they're looking around for any information about what could have happened to him. And I want to point out this little section right here. Marquis de Carabas sees something on his desk that ends up being very relevant later on, and he picks it up, and it's let's see if I can get a better shot of it here. Yeah, it's a bull, like a bull's not a statue, but like a little, it's a knickknack, bull knickknack, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, he puts it in his jacket. And you wonder, like, what is he just stealing stuff or something? But no, he takes it for a reason, and you find out later why. And it's a fairly, really good reason because it's almost like Marquis de Carabas, even though he's very blunt, he's very brash, he's seeing things like 10 steps ahead of everybody else. So he knows he's probably going to need that later on, so he's taking it with him. So he knows exactly what it is when everybody else probably did not know what it's for. Anyway, let's cut back to them, and this is where Mr. Croup and Mr. Vandemar find the what supposedly is the best bodyguard in the London below, and they basically threaten him. He's like, "Look, you work for us, but you also work for Door by becoming her bodyguard," and they strike up a deal basically. Anyway, they're back at our Doors in the office of her dad's, and they find like the little orb, which is supposed to be like his journal, and they put the journal in the machine just so they can watch it. And of course, we'll come back to that later. And we go back to Mayhew and Anesthesia. They're making their way over to Knightsbridge, and what Anesthesia tries to explain to Mayhew is Knightsbridge is well, you know, the floating market never shows up in the same place twice for the most part, or not the same place all the time. It might circulate from place to place and come back around. But the night's market, the floating market is going to show up in a place where they have to cross the night's bridge to get to it, which is what she was calling a very, very, very dangerous part of the neighborhood, so to speak. And so they're kind of making their way, and then they would cut back to Marquis de Carabas and Dora, and she's listening to her dad talk over this journal. And in the journal, he leaves like a warning to Dora, like, they're coming after us. Your family's dead. I'm fisting to die here too pretty soon. And he basically says, find the angel Islington. And Islington is an angel that she thought, and Marquis de Carabas thought, that was just a legend. But apparently he's real, and he's telling Dor, the dad is telling Dor through the journal, find the angel Islington, and you'll be able to crack open what all is going on. And so that was the whole ordeal with that. And so moving along here, we're in a tunnel here going towards Knightsbridge. And then that's where we meet. Yeah, here we go. This is where we meet Tanya Moody, which plays the Hunter. She becomes a main character in this as well. And Hunter is telling them, like, look, I'm going to go with you across the Knightsbridge. The more, the better. And come to find out, I'm just speculating here. I'm not quite sure on this with it when it comes to Knightsbridge. The Knightsbridge takes a toll, and the toll depends on the person. So the Hunter is hedging her bets against these two when she goes across the Knightsbridge, because these two have never been across the Knightsbridge. They don't really know what the toll is. Hunter does, and Hunter, knowing what the toll is, wants to go across the Knightsbridge with these two who don't know what the toll is. Because it seems to me like if you don't know what it is, the better off you are. Because the toll is a life pretty much. And what happens is, like, Mayhew sees like some type of nightmare as he's going across Knightsbridge, and then he sees Anesthesia get taken, and yeah, they come out on the other end, and Hunter's like surprised. She's actually surprised to see that Mayhew was able to make it through Knightsbridge without being taken himself. And Mayhew wants to go back over there and get Anesthesia back, but Hunter's trying to explain to him she's gone, she's dead. The the Knightsbridge takes its toll, is essentially what she tells him. And I think if he didn't go into this knowing that's what the toll might have been, he wouldn't have gone across Knightsbridge. So, and that's why the Lord Rat Speaker was told, and she's expendable when they put Anesthesia with him. But Anesthesia didn't think nothing of it because she'd never been across Knightsbridge either. So they were both completely oblivious to whatever it is Knightsbridge would do to them, except for Hunter. And only thing left of Anesthesia is a little bracelet that comes rolling down the hill on the other side of Knightsbridge, and Richard picks it up and puts it on his wrist as a, you know, that was his first friend in the London below that put her life up for his, even though she didn't know that's what she was doing. And so yeah, he feels bad about that whole ordeal. But now they finally making their way over to the floating market, and that's when he meets up with let's see, what's his name again? Old Bailey. Old Bailey is there trying to sell birds and stuff because that's kind of what he does. And like he's going around with a picture of Dora trying to find Dora, and he finds Old Bailey again. And Old Bailey's like, "I recognize you." He's like, "Well, can you help me find Dora? I'm looking for Marquis de Carabas and Dora." And of course, Old Bailey's like, "Well, I can't give you information unless you give me something. I don't have any money." So Old Bailey's like, "Well, I'll take your handkerchief, or I'll take that little thing you got in your hand." And he's like, "My hanky." And old Bailey, he basically just points him in the direction of where they are, and he leads him right to them. But it's funny because when he's walking away, the Old Bailey looks at the thing that Richard gave him not as a hanky, but as a tiny little flag. That's funny. But anyway, and we cut back. This is the guy that passed Mayhew and Anesthesia in the tunnel, but he was with one other guy when he passed him in the tunnel, and that guy is gone now. So he's the one that made it across Knightsbridge, and the other guy didn't. So it's almost like the persons who know about Knightsbridge is the one that's going to get across it without dying. It's almost like you got to willingly either take somebody willingly or somebody completely oblivious to what Knightsbridge is to get over Knightsbridge without being killed. Anyway, he's up against, of course, they're having tryouts, and these two are the last two apparently, and they're fighting each other to see who's going to be the bodyguard. And of course, Mayhew kind of interrupts a little bit, and the other bodyguard dude falls on him. And of course, Mr. Croup and Mr. Vandermar's choice of bodyguard supposedly wins here. That's when Hunter shows up. And it's like, do you want an amateur or you want a real bodyguard? And she basically kicks the shit out of him. She's the bodyguard now, pretty much. And Mayhew confronts Dora about the whole ordeal with what's happened to his life up in London above and how everything has pretty much gone to shit. And Dora's trying to explain to him, well, you're better off with not following us. Just do your own thing down here. I can't help you. I'm sorry that this happened to you and this whole 9 yards. And then Mayhew's like, no, something's got to be done. My life can't just end like this. And so Marquis de Carabas is like, no, you might last a month, but just go on your way, man. Leave us alone. Anyway, and so they kind of leave Mayhew behind here. And Mayhew sees that other bodyguard running up the tracks here, trying to catch up with him. And he doesn't quite make it because Mr. Croup and Mr. Vandermark run him over. He gets stuck on the tracks here, and of course Mayhew sees the whole thing. He's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Oh no!" And that's when Doris shows back up, and she says, "You know what? I got you in this mess. You're not going to be any better off coming with us, but you're welcome to come with us. And, maybe he's like, well, I don't have anything else to do. Nobody up in London but above knows who I am. So what am I going to do? Might as well come with you anyway. And so they kind of finally agree. He's not doing this for anything better or worse. So might as well just come along with him. And I think the door kind of starting to show a little bit of, you know, like she's starting to show that she likes Mayhew and Mayhew likes her, but to a certain degree. And it's almost like they have this attraction to each other that neither one of them can explain why. And you kind of find out later on in the series why the attraction even exists. But then Dora explained to him at this point was like, where we're going now is we got to find the Earl's Court, and the Earl's Court would tell us the way to get to Islington, the Angel. And Mayhew's like, an angel, really, an angel, and she's like, yes. And then that's when you get this fairly cool introduction to the angel Islington at the end of episode 2 here, which is pretty damn cool. I'll be honest with you. And it's none other than Peter Capaldi playing Islington here, the angel. Awesome stuff. And of course, it ends with the awesome music, the outro music of Neverwhere. And that is my review of episode 2. Like I said, I love this show. It's one of my favorite 90s obscure sci fi, otherworldly TV show. It was a miniseries. So, as you can see there, Islington, played by Peter Capaldi. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, if you want to watch this show, get ahead of me, by all means do so. You can watch it for free on the Pluto TV app. You just got to watch it with commercials. That's all. But like I said, Pluto at least will give you subtitles. So if you don't understand some of the accents or whatever, you could at least watch it with the subtitles and understand what they're saying. I know some of the accents are a little bit thick, so you might have to put the subtitles on for that. So, but yes, that's my review of episode 2, Knightsbridge, and that's me, Deafrowe, out.